Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. We are finally back at the shop of the S13. It's been a while, had some stuff going on, and Grant's moved places as well. So we're at his new shop now, which is awesome. It's massive, heaps of room, awesome lighting for filming. And yeah, the S13 has had quite a lot of progress done since last time we were here. So we'll take a little look around and see what's been done. And then we got some big things, some big progress happening in the next few weeks as well, which we can go over too. Rear half of the car is pretty much done. There's a few little things here and there like the fuel cap, a bit more sanding to be done, but pretty much the rear of the car is done in terms of like fitment and all that. And yeah, it's really starting to come together, and we can really see like the shape of the car and all the panels, the panel gaps. The wheels are looking really good. We've got to chuck another 20 or 30 mil spacer in here. Just until we get the big spaces, but this is looking really good. And then we haven't done the final cut on these guards yet, so it's not as low as it could be, but we've done, I should say Grant's done a lot of work on this rear section here to get this all fitting nicely, all this stuff. So if you remember, this rear bumper here was pretty much touching the floor before, and now we've made it so it pretty much lines up with the side skirt. So everything's pretty much the same height off the ground, which took a lot of work because this kit was a lot worse than we originally thought in terms of fitment. And yeah, so it's taken quite a few more hours than we thought to get it all done. So that's why it's been a while since the last video. It's pretty much just been working on this backside, but we're going for a very high quality of this build. We don't want to just be the typical Sylvia with terrible panel gaps and bolted on shit.
What's happened on here since the last time I think you guys have seen it is a boatload of work. Guards are basically done, as just saying to Ben before. I would call this about 90% there, because since I've primed it and everything's now in one color, you can see the gaps and the defects a bit more obviously than you can when everything's a different shade of body filler. Panel gaps are on its way there. The flanging, all that type of thing is done now on from the B pillar back, and it looks good. We're gonna aim for laser sharp panel gaps in this case. There's, like Ben was saying before, there's a few things to consider when working with fiberglass. Panel straightness being one of them. So we're not gonna use all of our time and resources trying to flatten something that just isn't. So we're going to bring our focus to something else, and hopefully it looks cool on this type of car, because I don't think it's not that typical, it's not common. So we'll see how it turns out in this one. Looking forward to it.
See, so do you want to go over like just what exactly you've been up to?
Okay.
Obviously we've had to they're not rivets, eh?
No, these are just bolts.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we've thought that we wouldn't have to, I ideally wanted like a kit with no bolts on it, or no shown bolts at least, but just the way that these, the tension,
yeah.
And
some of the tension. Sorry guys, just
right. You say it better than I do.
Yeah. So like you were saying before, we wanted to go for a clean install, and I was just going to go double-sided tape on the back of all of these things to keep it there. But through going through the process of fabricating this gap and getting everything to sit nicely, there's just a bit too much tension in that. So on all the sides that actually have the bolts, just again, it's in the manufacturing quality. We're just working with what we have, and this is in my thinking the best offering that we can do to fix that problem, but not have it be a tech screw, and that's exactly the screw that we'll keep in the as the finish that it will be. It's consistent with the wheel finish, so that was my thinking process around that. And as you can see, the gaps are a lot tighter now than what they were as we received the parts. But yeah, this section was taken out I think I removed about 80 mils, almost 100 mils through this middle section.
Yeah, so we actually removed like a big strip from here, like that. And then, so this was hanging down, pretty much touching the floor before, and it looked really weird. So it's pretty much the exact height as the side skirts now.
It's now exactly that lower point of the bumper. It's actually a little bit higher because I allowed for a diffuser if we were gonna.
Yeah.
So then, if you add a diffuser, then it will be actually at.
Yeah.
Or rather, would make it so that it's at exactly the same. So focusing on details, kind of like this one doesn't have the bolt in it now, but when you look at the spoiler where it meets the boot lid, focusing on having those gaps be as thin and as minimal as possible. Same like around the tail lights, and when you look through the gaps, all the panel gaps need to look consistent, and in fact be consistent with another one that you can see in the same perspective. Yeah, it's a little bit of a technical approach to typically such a simple process, but it's not. And that's where we're spending our time. What else happened through here? This bumper has, it's actually, so you're getting bash bars made for this, right?
Yeah.
So this bumper, you can see it's just, there's a plate in there that's obviously sitting down a little bit lower, but this panel here is going to have a consistent gap with that one ultimately. You know, so when you look at it, they won't all be the same size, but where they step down, they'll step down consistently and at least symmetrically with another side.
Yeah.
And just try and have everything look dialed in, I guess is the best way to describe it. Yeah. Is it better if I look at you or directly? Fucking hell, now I'm going to look like a retard. Anyways, it's okay. From now on, I'll look at the lens. But yeah, look, that's where the last few hours have been spent on this. But it's a process of putting it on, taking it off, checking, put the shims in to see what your clearances are, and it is. I'm sure Ben would have felt like nothing was happening for such a long time, and even for me doing it, I'm like, come on man, can this thing just be in one color already? Here we are, bro. So what we'll be moving on to next is the front of the car, and that's just the guards and the bonnet. The front bumper is, what is it? Duraflex. What's it made of?
Polyurethane.
Polyurethane. So hopefully there's no fabrication on that. But that's not the case for the front guards because, yeah.
They're fucked.
Yeah. So they're not, they kind of for a S13. They were made for, they say it was made for S13. So we're going to just go with that. Anyways, aftermarket mounting points. Got to make sure the panel gaps are consistent again with what I've started on the back. And like I was explaining to Ben, that it's those kinds of details that will show it's not so much the standard of finish, but that's what makes something look like a butcher job or a factory finish, because the factories, because of the mass that they produce it on, they need that kind of consistency, and that's what doesn't get paid attention to in the aftermarket. But if you do, then it's kind of like you don't even know that's a detail that you like as the customer. But that's one of the things I tend to pay attention to is factory fitment, which is why we've got a factory front guard, because old mate over here jumped the gun at the beginning of the project. What ended up happening was, yeah, we'll save that actually for the front once I move to it. But there's some more fabrication, not end of earth, end of days fabrication. I'm still looking off camera. But yeah, all in a day's work.
Yeah, pretty much what happened was like it was like a year and a half-ish ago now that we fitted the body kit originally, and we were like, sweet, like don't need the stock fenders anymore. Like we thought it all lined up decently, and then so I sold the stock fenders for what now is a ridiculously cheap price. I think both of them were like $150, and they were in like pretty mint condition. Then I had to buy this one for like $250 the other day, just for one, and just so we could get like where the the headlights fit on stock and how it all fits. And then we had to buy these mounting brackets as well here, these ones here, because the original ones were real chopped up. So our intercooler actually like barely fits because it's so massive, And then we'll also have a bash bar, so just a fabricated metal tubing.
Dashboard replaces.
Yeah, we'll replace this, and then it'll have that little, you know, triangle bit here with the jack point down there as well, so that'll look really nice. And it'll be really easy to jack the car up because it'll be impossible to get under those side skirts when it's all final fitment.